And we are live. Welcome, everyone. This is your host, Abraham L. Jaguar. I'm going to take my earplugs, my earphones for the games. There we go. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Inkforged, a fantasy role playing game, highly detailed but very easy to understand. You can imbue your weapons and gear with magically charged ink. You will find it in the links in the link in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. They have recently released New Flash, a future noir tabletop RPG where cyberpunk meets biological horror. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment as well. This channel is also proudly sponsored by Dead Tree Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop RPG where you play as monster girls, experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released Daughters of Lamb. This is a pay-what-you-want tabletop RPG where you play as cybernetic nuns with guns that are looking for the pieces belonging to their AI god. You will find it in their website. The links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. All right. I'm checking the sound just to see. And in the pinned comment. Sounds good, apparently, right? I'm checking the sound just. Okay. Welcome, Grimsley. Welcome. So this time I wanted to handle one of the most challenging things about solo tabletop role-playing games: mysteries. A lot of people avoid solo RPGs because of that. When you play solo RPGs, unless you have like tunnels and trolls, choose your own path, choose your own adventure sort of module, the mystery could be lost if you don't know how to create that mystery. Because in those typical modules, you choose your path, you stand before the 3 doors in the castle, you stand before the 3 doors, and then you choose one of the 3 doors, and this happens. And as you go through the entire thing, plotlines are revealed, nefarious plans, villains, secret objectives, but that's because the module is built to reveal those things. But when it comes to you picking up any tabletop RPG and trying to create mysteries, how can you surprise yourself like that with those evil plans and plot lines and agendas and conspiracies and whatnot? It's as if you already know more or less what is going to happen, right? But not exactly, because of the use of oracles. The tables, the yes or no results, the random words, concepts that you obtain, they are always surprising you, but still, how can you create that sense of a greater mystery going on? Because mysteries, usually someone has already set up everything, and then the mystery is revealed little by little. Like in any detective sort of tabletop RPG, the Sherlock Holmes RPG, the Call of Cthulhu or Cthulhu, in those sorts of RPGs, the game master has either purchased a module that has this mystery, or has created the mystery, or is creating the mystery throughout the entire session or even the campaign. So you are surprised by the creation of other people. It reminds me on what Lovecraft wrote concerning his own writings. He said that if you noticed in his stories, there's always like a central focus. Cthulhu or Cthulhu, the city of Arlie, Azathoth, Nyarlathotep, the unknown Kadath, the city of unknown Kadath in the Dream Quest of unknown Kadath. And everything revolves, circles around spirals into that central or focal point. So when it comes to solo tabletop RPGs, how are you able to create that sense of mystery, right? So I have a few examples here on how to accomplish such a thing, because it is quite doable and very enjoyable, very, very enjoyable. You end up surprising yourself, just as if you were playing with a game master or a referee. Hmm, let me organize. Okay, here it is. Scarlet Heroes. This game needs no introduction for many. This is one of the best solo RPGs out there. Scarlet Heroes, available at Drive Thru RPG. Scarlet Heroes is pretty much old school Dungeons and Dragons, tweaked, modified, so that a single player character or just two player characters have the strength of an entire group. That is, a single player character has the survivability of four player characters. But that's not the only great thing about Scarlet Heroes. Scarlet Heroes comes with a perfectly workable solo system near the end of the book. It starts at mhm, page 92, creating adventures. But later on, because you get adventure tags, maybe it's an urban adventure, maybe it's a wilderness adventure, maybe it's a dungeon adventure, maybe it features foul sorcery, maybe it features hidden riches, maybe it features slow poison, and you have information on the various tags, like for example, abandoned traps. The wilderness or dungeon is crusted over with an abnormally large number of traps, the relics of some kind of internal struggle or an expected invasion that may never have come. Most of the traps are likely still functional, and the entire place might be a snare. So it tells you the sorts of enemies that you will encounter there: golem trap maintainers, confused undead guardians, the sorts of friends that you can encounter are non-hostile player characters. No, characters, non-hostile characters, such as curious engineers, intrepid explorers. The things that you can find, such as keys to deactivating traps or maps of trap placements. You also have complications. The traps keep something in. The traps are intelligent. The traps have been, they were never meant to be. You also have places, the innocent room. Very weird, right? What sort of thing would you be inspired to interpret from that? The innocent room, or the false treasure cave, or a clearing littered with the remains of victims. So very handy stuff. You also have tables, various maps if you want to use them. You could also take those maps, like take bits and pieces from those maps and create your own map as you go along. But you also have character names for dwarves, elves, etc. You have a quick non-player character creation, their age. This is perfect for mysteries. As you unravel the mystery, you can randomly determine the age of the suspects or the victims within the mystery, their age, their family situation, their source of influence, their attitude, their motivation, their most notable traits. And then we get to the section of solo gaming. Solo gaming. You have your general oracles of yes or no, and tables how to determine how far things are from you. Maybe something is a few paces away. Maybe something else is within a month's journey. You need to travel for a month to get to your destination. You can also determine the weather, more adjectives and motivations, the relationships, the reactions, the non-player characters, races, relations, everything, right? And here is where what I want to use, connected to mysteries: urban adventures. These adventures feature a plot sequence, a plot centered around urban intrigue, investigation, political machinations, grim street justice. How are you able to just to do? Let me check the sound to see if everything is all right. Street justice. Mm-hmm. How are you able to? Sounds good. How are you able to implement those elements within mysteries? To be able to create that illusion that you are playing with someone that has designed a mystery, a plan, that has created those intrigues. You have a sequence of play. First, you draw a plot. You randomly determine the plot to find out what this adventure is all about. You perform the setup indicated by the plot. You set victory points for your hero and their opponents. Your hero and your enemies, they all have victory points. And it is a race against time. As in many good detective stories, you have villains, you have the hero, and they are on a race. They have entered the race. The villain is trying to do his very best or her very best to hide everything about the mystery, to keep the hero from capturing him, killing him, foiling his plans, etc. And the protagonist is doing everything in his power to unravel the mystery and find out who the culprit is. Or maybe it's a mystery without a culprit, right? Somebody died and you think that someone killed him, but perhaps it was a very dangerous situation. That person fell down a hole or whatever, got sick. So the mystery is all about figuring out that. Then you decide how your hero is drawn into the plot. Of course, you're making your random rolls. You decide based on your interpretation of the results of those random rolls, the oracles, the tables. You draw a scene. You create a scene or a conflict, the first scene that starts the entire mystery. If you succeed in that first scene, the challenges presented in that scene, you get a reward. If you fail, you suffer the consequences. If you resolve the challenge with magic or violence, it depends on the context. But you may end up obtaining a clue. When it comes to these scenes, you actually need to spend a clue to reach those critical scenes. So as you can see how this applies to any other solo RPG mystery, not just Scarlet Hero. So for example, let's say that I wanted to play Call of Cthulhu solo, completely solo, although there are some incredible solo modules out there. Carcosa. If you like Call of Cthulhu or Call of Cthulhu, you have to buy Carcosa for 7th edition. It's a module. It's an amazing, incredible module campaign. It's a campaign. What a work of art. What a work of art. I was provided a review copy a long time ago. And as I was going through the entire document without playing it, I need to play it one of these days. The randomness will keep the spoilers under control. But the way that it is structured and proceeds, beautiful, beautiful campaign. So again, let's say that I am running Call of Cthulhu as a solo experience. You create a scene, there is a conflict, and you determine, perhaps you need to discover the location of another edition of the Necronomicon that is very different from the other editions. That could be extremely dangerous if it falls under the hands of the government or the criminals, or, well, same diff, right? Same diff. Whatever, cultists, same diff. So you need to stop them. You need to find the Necronomicon before that special edition, because it has a spell that doesn't appear in any other edition. But you realize that, how are you going to find it, right? You have no idea where it is. So you continue to generate the scenes using your oracles, your tables, until you reach that moment when one of the random elements that you generate, you think, hey, that element looks very important. For example, maybe you obtain the result of old pirate map. That looks important because you found it in the hideout of some cultist. Maybe that's where the Necronomicon is buried. That's a clue. And because you took that clue, now you can create another scene based around that clue. And the mystery keeps on unraveling. Identify those essential, important, crucial events generated with your tables and create those key scenes, key moments using those elements, using them as a center. Because right now we have the pirate map. So the next crucial scene is going to be securing a boat, getting to that island on the map. Very important. And along the way, you may end up encountering vital elements that seem crucial, central to the entire mystery. So this is how Scarlet Heroes does it. You continue to draw scenes until either your hero or their opponents reach 10 victory points, and that's the one who wins. You could, if you wanted to handle it as a victory point sort of experience or game, every time you encounter a vital clue, you gain a victory point. The moment you reach 10 victory points, congratulations. In this case, you found the Necronomicon. If not, the cultists got, or the government, or whatever, the criminals, they got their hands on the Necronomicon that you were searching for, and it's game over. Perhaps for your investigator, perhaps for the entire world, who knows? So let's move on from Scarlet Heroes. That's the example that I wanted to employ for Scarlet Heroes. There are other ways to handle mysteries. Using the excellent Flextail Solo Adventuring Toolkit. I'm trying to show it to you without... excuse me. Oh, no, the AI is going to mess up things. Well, yeah, the Flextail Solo Adventuring Toolkit. The AI has moved the camera. AI, move the camera, please. AI, you're being disobedient. This is how it starts. Oh, right. This is how Terminator starts. Okay. And the Solo Adventuring Toolkit. You have a section. Let me get to it to generate mystery quests. This mammoth tome has it all. Here we go, solo quests. Abstract mystery quests. Abstract mystery quests. Page 243. Yes. When it comes to these mysteries, you can determine if it's a whodunit situation, or a cover-up, or related to espionage or blackmail. You can determine the mystery benefactor, who is hiring you, who is hiring your detective, unless you are taking the mystery on your own volition, by your own will. Maybe you got hired by a tradesperson, or by royalty, or by a faction to solve the mystery. You need to solve the mystery. What about the suspicion? Perhaps it is suspected that someone was murdered. It is suspected that there is treason. It is suspected that organized crime is behind it all. You can also determine the truth, although I would recommend determining the truth about the mystery much later on, when all of the results seem to point to a particular outcome of the mystery. Then you can determine that perhaps it was a misunderstanding. Maybe in the case of the Necronomicon that I mentioned, maybe it was a hoax. The Necronomicon wasn't even a real edition of the Necronomicon. It was like a forgery or a fake. Maybe the mystery continues and you end up with a campaign. You can also determine the morphology of the mystery. How is the mystery going to transform? If it transforms according to the elements that you generate, maybe it turns into a slay quest. You found the murderer. You are chasing Jack the Ripper, member of the royal family in science fiction, YouTube, in science fiction. And now you need to slay Jack the Ripper. Or maybe now you need to obtain something. In the case of the Necronomicon, it's not the Necronomicon that you needed to obtain. It's a statuette featuring a statuette of Cthulhu or Cthulhu that was the real source of the power. So the mystery mutates, changes. You can also determine the involvement. You can see that perhaps someone that you thought was suspicious is actually innocent. Or maybe someone is an accomplice, one of your friends. What a plot twist. One of the friendly non-player characters is an accomplice. You can determine the quest prototypes concerning mysteries. Perhaps there are multiple suspects. There is a double cross or a web of intrigue. The quests could be related to thugs or red herrings. This is all about generating your results and figuring out how those elements play into the central point, the central plotline. You realize, well, we need to find the Necronomicon. And how do the thugs relate to that? Are they into trafficking valuable books? So you can determine those sorts of things as they emerge, as they become manifest when you generate the results. You can, of course, determine the rewards from the mysteries. Now, concerning clues, there is a section in the solo adventuring toolkit that features clues quite well. It gives you a really clear explanation of clues. Let me see if I can find it. That's why I recommend that before using the solo adventuring toolkit, you use some bookmarks to have the sections already separated so you can get to them quickly. Clues 124. 124. Page 124. Okay. Here we go. One way of keeping the concept alive, the concept of a mystery, for example, is by introducing clues. Obviously, clues, when you think about them, are abstract secrets. Most clues in and of themselves tend to be of only slight interest, but some others could be the Big Bang conclusion that you are looking for. Take the example of a private detective investigating a spouse. The fact that the client's spouse was at a motel for an evening on a certain date is almost certainly a clue. But in and of itself, a motel receipt isn't very interesting. It's the insinuation that it was part of a possible affair that grants the simple piece of paper importance. Viewed in this way, you can lean into the willing suspension of disbelief for solo gameplay and simply conceive of any given clue as an abstract piece of information that leads toward a conclusion. So again, you're looking for the Necronomicon. If you obtain results such as Tommy gun, restaurant, lunchbox, those things have nothing to do with the Necronomicon. So don't try to force it and play them into the mystery. But if you end up with narcotic manuscript or sorcerer's hideout, perhaps ritual object, that's a clue. it could be related to the Necronomicon because they all have to do with sorcery, with the occult, with the mysteries of the mythos, potentially the mysteries of the mythos. So you can determine a chance of finding a clue. Perhaps you generated a scene, a graveyard. How likely is it that you will find some clues to the whereabouts of the Necronomicon in a graveyard? You could be thinking, well, graveyards are usually employed by practitioners of dark arts to deal with the dead and things like that. So there could be like a 50% chance that within that graveyard you will find a clue as to the whereabouts of the Necronomicon. Maybe you encounter a cultist in the middle of a ceremony and you interrogate the cultist. Maybe you hide and you listen to the words of the cultist to see if he is familiar with the magic of the Necronomicon. Or maybe you start looking through the graves and you notice that one of the crypts, it lies open. And you go down and you see that there is a huge tunnel that connects to who knows where. It goes so long into the darkness. And you decide to go through that tunnel. Maybe someone took the Necronomicon through that tunnel. Maybe it leads to the hideout of one of the worshippers of the any sort of eldritch deity that you can imagine. So you can also establish, like I said, in the style of Scarlet Heroes, that you need to find a determined number of clues beforehand in order to advance the mystery or solve the mystery. Here's the section: finding clues. Clues can crop up anywhere. When you're searching a house, when you are searching a body, or when you are bribing a priest to look the other way while you sort through records, you may decide to intentionally search for clues, or you may discover them completely by accident in the course of ordinary adventuring. You have a table here to determine if a building, a relevant building, or an unrelated building, an adventure site, through divination, through social encounters, any sort of thing that happens during the campaign. When you visit the library, when you talk to the antiquarian, when you cast a spell, any of those things could give you a chance of finding a clue. You decided to contact one of the elder gods, and within that disturbing contact, he mentions the name of a place where the Necronomicon could be found. That's a clue. But how did you get to that clue? How did you determine that it was a clue for the mystery? You make your roll. It could be a skill check. It could be a random roll to find out clues, giving a percentage chance. You cast a ritual to contact this entity, and there is a 60% chance of finding a clue. And now maybe you were successful in your roll. You rolled below the target number or above it, depending on how you are handling things. And now that clue has been revealed to you. The clue is there, and you can create a scene based around that clue. Maybe no dice, maybe no cigar. You couldn't find it. You couldn't find the clue. Create another scene and keep on adventuring until the elements generated within a scene represent a clue, taking context and the mystery into consideration. And again, if you want to set up a proper ending for the mystery or a more structured ending, set up a number of clues that you need to find from the start. You can set them up as a normal value, like 7 clues, or randomly generate those clues, that number of clues to find in order to solve the mystery, that number that you need to find. So maybe you need to discover 6 clues in order to solve the mystery. Or maybe you need to find 5 clues in order to even start the mystery. And that is determined by the results, by the context. And again, excellent Ken Wickham with his products, using products such as the Soroplay. Remember, that's SOR, R of running, Soroplay. Instead of solo play, it's Soroplay. Those, let me see. Here it is. Soroplay game and writing tools. It contains so many things about everything. Ken Wickham has so many amazing products. They are quite expensive, but well worth it. But if you just want to purchase a single product from Ken Wickham, let it be the Soroplay game and writing tools. Soroplay. You can determine every single feature of the human body. You can determine every single shape, color, everything about environments, buildings, houses, trees, animals, everything, smells, sights, sounds, the stages of the scientific process. It's insane. The value of that product is insane. So if you want to further flesh out those mysteries, definitely consider it. Consider getting it. And if not, with the material that I have provided, the examples that I have used, and the logic and reasoning that I have employed in this video, it's enough material for you to come up with your own tables. If you don't want to buy the Solo Adventuring Toolkit or the Soroplay game and writing tools or any other Oracle, although at the very least, download the free TriCube Tales Game Master emulator, free from DriveThru RPG. TriCube Tales. TriCube, like a cube, TriCube Tales. It's free. And you have so many random results to work into the mystery. But that's pretty much it. As you can see, it is using mysteries in solo tabletop RPGs looks complex, looks difficult. For some, it may appear impossible, but it's very easy to implement, to handle actually, and you end up surprised because of the results. For those of you that are watching, do you have any questions? I'll wait a minute if anyone has questions. Well, I guess not. But yes, that's pretty much it. I hope this video was informative and entertaining. I encourage you to try solo tabletop RPGs, but also to use mysteries with those games. Handle it as an organic mystery that unfolds as you reveal the clues that connect everything, that are interconnected. Or set up a number of clues from the very start and treat it as a game, because this is a tabletop role-playing game. You are playing a role, but you are also playing a game. Maybe your objective is obtaining, like I said, 8 clues. Now it's a race against time, because every time you fail in one of those scenes, the villain gets a victory point. Or instead of clues, let's handle it victory points, right? You need 10 victory points. Each time you find a vital clue, it's a victory point. But every time you fail to obtain a vital clue, the villain gets a victory point. And perhaps there is no antagonist, right? Maybe time is running out until some other event happens. Maybe it's a setting where the places are so disconnected and somebody has passed away and a relative of the deceased wants to figure out how that person died before having to go back to some distant land. So you have the time limit that you need to solve the mystery before that relative goes away and perhaps never returns, because the place gives him or her so many bad memories. And you are trying to help them obtain closure. So yes, definitely an enjoyable mystery is always possible to be implemented or to create it as you are generating the results for your solo sessions. Thank you for watching this live stream. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Like, subscribe, take a look at the information in the description, the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, roleplay solves everything. Once again, thank you, and see you later.